Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Music that is 150 years old. The overture to an opera that is so obscure, the opera that is, that we don't even know what the story is about. The light cavalry. You'd think it was about a bunch of soldiers on horseback, and the opera has nothing to do with that. It has to do with a ballet company, nicknamed the Light Cavalry. And yet, 150 years later, with the story of an opera that is so obscure, the music, the overture, still speaks to us in a meaningful and enthusiastic and life-affirming sort of way. And after all, isn't that the purpose of music in our lives, and therefore the purpose of music in our schools? Because it makes us feel, it makes us more complete as human beings. The power of music. Consider the fact, with all the doom and gloom that we see in the news day in and day out, and all the reasons that we can rightfully be upset about the injustices in the world, about those things that are wrong in our society, and how many different type of artists create works to speak to these type of injustices in the world, musicians included. And you think about all the music that's been composed throughout the generations speaking to these injustices. And yet, most of the music that we hear today, speaking to the injustices of the human condition, especially in the pop realm, are rather angry songs, hate-filled songs, and quite frankly, profanity-laden songs. And no matter how serious our woes and ills are today, they certainly pale to the injustice that was inflicted upon human beings during the most horrible chapter in our nation's history. For it was from the institution of slavery, where human beings were treated simply as property, with great violence and indignity inflicted upon these people. If anyone had reason to create music, to sing songs that were filled with hatred and anger towards the world, certainly it was these men and women. And yet, from this deplorable institution comes some of the most beautiful, inspiring, optimistic, and hopeful music. The spirituals of the slaves, filled with testimony of optimism, filled with optimistic hope, and the dream of life fulfilled in the way that we were meant to live, in freedom, with justice and dignity, deserving of all men and women and children. These anonymous composers, so-called ignorant men and women who worked in the fields, who composed music that gave meaning and purpose and hope to their lives. And such is one of those spirituals, Deep River. Perhaps the best known of all the spirituals in this beautiful setting for concert band, speaking once again to the dignity of humanity, Deep River. Deep River, I long to cross the river Jordan. Deep River, Lord, I've crossed the river into campground.